What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Formula One True North, the Canadian Formula One podcast. And we are here to talk about the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Love it or hate it, boys. Which one?
It's lights out and away we go.
Which one? Drew.
Love it.
Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it.
4 hates. It's a lot of hate, Ed.
Abhor.
I abhor. Drew, do you have another word for love it you can throw out there?
Enamored.
Enamored. Okay, so I'm going to refrain from participating at this point because I want to know right now, Drew, why do you love the Las Vegas Grand Prix?
I think I love the Las Vegas Grand Prix for a few reasons. One, I'm a big fan of Las Vegas itself. I'm big into the lights, sounds, the show, all the things that come with Vegas. And you're taking my second favorite thing, which is Formula One. My first favorite thing is my wife because she listens to this shit too. My second favorite thing, which is Formula One. And you put it in a place that I absolutely love, and I can get behind that. Now, I can go on a bunch of reasons why I don't like it, but as a whole, last year surprised me. It took me from I'm skeptical about this, not too sure how this is going to go. The track layout looks wonky on the best day, and it was new, right? So there's a lot of uncharted territory that that FIA and Formula One and all the drivers and all the teams needed to really figure out. And I think last year it put together a pretty spectacular race. It's towards the end of the season, and it has been, since it started. So it's just something nice to look forward to towards the end of the year that has a little bit more of a spectacle, because I think the last spectacle that we got was Miami. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what kind of, show and pizzazz and kabang that they got going on in Vegas.
Interesting. Okay, got it. I didn't realize you had such a love for the city.
Yeah.
Who knew? Do you have any good stories? Any good Vegas stories you can share?
Not that I could share.
Fair enough. All right.
But yes,
Figured
I
as
do,
much.
sir. Yes,
Boring.
I do, sir.
Ed, team hate. Go, buddy.
Well, for me, I know for a fact that because the FIA is so invested into this, because they put their own money to kind of like put it all together, and they're gonna push the crap out of this. And it's I already know it's just a money grab at this point because they're capitalizing on the interest coming from the US. And like last year's shit show of the manhole covers and the exorbitant amount of money that you have to pay, it's just like there's nothing great there. It's a city track, and not a lot of drivers love the city tracks, except for possibly even just Monaco. But for me, it's just like the essence of the sport in general, like the pure racing mindset of it is just like it's not there anymore, and it's just we're here to make a lot of money. And it seems like it kind of like shit on them this year because I don't know if you guys heard like the discounts that they were trying to give because they weren't able to sell that many tickets. I was just like, for me, it's like why even? So first year it was glitz and glam. Second year I'm like, I'm over it. Let's go to another track, or let's go to another traditional track, and then we'll go from there.
One and done for Ed. That's harsh, buddy. So we had this discussion a few weeks ago. We're like, let's try and get tickets to the Vegas GP. And when I say we, I'm talking about all the guys on the podcast. We were kind of figuring it out. Okay, so we got some tickets on sale, right? We got some grandstands that are going on discount because they're having trouble. We tried to figure out flights, and we could do like 24 hours in Vegas, watch the race, and leave. And we thought it would be an amazing story. It'd be fun to recap on the podcast, and it's not happening. So that's my story. That being said, if anyone has a private jet, anyone has a PJ and some tickets and wants to bring us down,
Holler at your boys.
holler. So I'll give you my take on Vegas. Last week on the podcast, if you listened, I hated pretty much everything we talked about. And apparently people like that. So I'm going to have to disappoint the masses. Because I think I like the Vegas Grand Prix. And I'm going to split this up 2 ways. I'm going to look at the race itself, and I'm going to look at like the spectacle that surrounds it. Because for anyone that has listened over the last year and a half, I'm not about the big, like, showy entertainment spectacle that Formula One has become at some tracks. We're looking at Vegas, we're looking at Miami, places like that, where it seems like it's just like overly showy to attract a certain audience. And I can agree with Ed where I'm not sure I love that part of Vegas. Although some of the shine has worn off from last year, so it might not be all as glittery and glammy as it was last year. But the race was surprising. You had manhole covers popping up. It was almost like a little Super Mario track. Here and there, you had these little obstacles everywhere. And I thought the race itself was actually really interesting. Maybe that was a function of teams having absolutely no data on it. Maybe it was because engineers didn't really know how to set up the track, or they didn't really understand the how to manage that track. But I thought it actually created a really interesting and competitive race. And for that reason, and because I'm a purist at heart, that's why I have to choose Team Love, because of everything it provided outside of the spectacle. Heart emoji. Someone do the other side with me. Come on, Drew. Hit me, buddy.
Depends
there
on
we
where
go.
you are.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
All right.
Figure it out. Figure it out in post. Figure it out in post.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Do it.
You know what? Yes. Oh, sure. I'll do it in post. There's a part of the Las Vegas Grand Prix that I think is a little bit American, and I think that is the fact that they moved everything and shifted everything in terms of timing, so that the late night race suits like the US audiences, but like most of the audience for Formula One has been and currently is around the world. And I think shifting this specifically to cater to them is a little arrogant. I think that's a little like slap in the face, like we're doing this for us and for ratings and for whatever. Because ultimately, like when they do the shift in the Middle East and do some of the night races, it's because it's like hotter than Toby's arsehole in terms of like it being safe for the drivers and the cars and like whether or not the mechanics are going to work. In Las Vegas in late November, we're not worried about it being too hot. So like you could fully have a day race in Las Vegas. I think they're just doing it for like the lights and the sounds and all that kind of stuff, which is whatever. But I think that alienating a lot of the global fans to do something like this might not be the best case scenario. It's just one of the reasons why I don't like it. Overarching, I do love the race. I think it's cool. I'm here for it. I'm in North America, so it's not too bad for me to watch it at 1 a.m. or whatever. But I think as part of a whole, it's a little bit of a slap in the face to some people. Just my 2 cents.
That said, Vegas in the daylight is not very pretty.
No, it's not.
Let's be real. Yeah, it is not like a daytime city.
Yeah.
So okay. I understand that. Sure, slap in the face, but that's like saying, are you going to get mad at Suzuka for making us watch a race at 1 a.m.? Same thing.
Touche.
Maybe not. Who knows? Going into the race, we have Max. Speaking of love or hate, we have Max in the lead. He's up by 61 points right now. And I think he has to leave Vegas with, 60-point spread to kind of clinch the championship. I'm going to go to you, Ed, first, because I know this is going to hurt you. The Oracle. I feel like you have no option but to say what you're going to say. So how do I ask this question?
What is that? What do I have to say? Like I want to hear
to say
is Max going to leave?
Spread? Yeah.
Is Max going to leave the Vegas GP drivers champion?
Mathematically speaking, yes.
What do you mean mathematically?
What do you mean? No,
what do you mean?
No answer, bro. What the
fourth?
Yeah,
it's a yes. It's a yes. Mathematically speaking, it's yeah.
So not mathematically speaking, like in your heart, he's not the champion, but mathematically he is. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, my response will remain to be mathematically speaking, he is the champion.
So he will clinch the championship at the end of the Vegas weekend.
Only if he passes the math test.
Yeah, there you go.
Skill testing question.
Skill testing question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Walker is alluding to the point that you should be, based on all of this season, be saying that Lando Norris is going to keep the race or the championship race within 60 points so that Max Verstappen is not leaving Vegas. That's what he
here's
wanted you to say, because you should
here's
have
this
said
thing. Here's the thing. If Max Verstappen does not make what do you call this? If he doesn't finish the race, then Lando still has a chance. But if he wins this race, or if he gets second and Lando does not get first, Lando's not winning the race. And he's not winning the championship at that point. So
Yeah.
very slim chances.
Some deep
But
analysis going on right
fine. You know what? I'll
crunching
stick
some
to it.
real numbers there, bud.
now. He gives you the hamster running.
Yeah.
He's still going to be. I'm gonna stick to my guns, and Lando is going to take this all the way to the end into Yas Marino.
I'm gonna jump on this real quick. Like, let's just picture what this season, like, if I asked you at the summer break if Lando Norris had a shot at winning this, the answer would probably be a hard no, because like the first 10 races, Max was dominating.
Yeah.
And it looked like at summer break that there was no chance for anybody to come back, let alone McLaren take constructors and Ferrari start pushing, above Red Bull. That seemed like an impossibility based on how these guys started the year. And I don't know what's happened to Max or what happened to the car during that kind of middle period there, because a lot of stuff fell off. And like, obviously Max Verstappen in that last race was absolutely phenomenal and showed everybody why he will be an all-time great. But other than that race, there hasn't been a lot out of the Red Bull camp in some time. So yes, I do agree that, like, is Max back? Yeah, I think he's reset his eye on the prize. And I think, his team and the engineers have given him a car worth driving, especially if all he needs is a 60-point gap going into Vegas. I think that he's got it in the bag. But I'm curious to see, what this kind of looks like going on long term, because next season we are still in the same regulations, and I'm curious to see where Red Bull's going to stand, especially now that Newey's gone.
So I think Max is absolutely going to leave this weekend with the championship in hand. I think he's got it. And I think that because, to me, Max just feels exasperated. I feel the second half of the season has been trying, right? He hasn't been able to win the same way he's been used to winning. The car hasn't been great. And it's been challenging. And I think right now, if he sees an opportunity to clinch a championship with a couple of races left after this, I think he's going to come in super dialed in. This is going to be super dialed, super competitive Max. And I think he's going to have one of those dominant weekends, because he knows if he can do it now, then he can, I don't want to say he can relax for the next two races, but he has got it. And I think that will take a lot of pressure off of him. So I think, I don't think McLaren has a chance. And then Lando specifically, in terms of the drivers coming out of this weekend, because right now it's kind of like bit in the mouth. He's raring to go. And I think when he has a target like that and he has a goal like that, given where his car is right now, I think he has enough talent to will it over the line ahead of Lando and clinch. So take that, YouTube.
Yeah.
Man, all you saying I'm a Max hater.
And here, Walker, I will agree with you on this one. And even if he doesn't clinch it here in Las Vegas, there's a few more races. And it only takes one mistake from Lando to destroy everything at this point. So I'm with you there. Like, there could be a lot of things that could happen, but he's got nothing to lose. He can push it, make a mistake in Las Vegas, and go on to the next race and do the exact same thing all over again and clinch it on the next race up until Yas Marina. So, yeah.
So here's my question for you, Ed. Are you officially changing your mind, your prediction, as the resident oracle of who is going to win?
No, I'm standing on what I called, because I don't want to flim flam on something that I called out from the start of this. Actually, not start this midway through the season.
You don't want to flip flam. Have you thought about flip flopping? You can try that. No judgment.
I want flim flam.
All right, you can.
Why do you have to tell me how I want to, what I want to say, or what?
I'm just giving you an alternate option. That's all.
My choice. No.
Okay.
Flim flam.
Your choice. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Got it. The championship battle, which will not be clinched by the end of this weekend, in my opinion, is the constructors. That's still wide open.
Yeah.
And we have McLaren and on top right now. They are with 593 points. Ferrari is a close second. They're 36 points behind. Not a lot when you got two cars running. They've been consistent. They've been strong. Who's coming out on top at the end of this? Well, maybe not on top, but is Ferrari closing the gap?
Yeah.
By the end of this weekend?
There's a good chance.
I think so, yeah. Like Leclerc, like you said, Leclerc and Sainz have been super consistent this year. And, you know, they've been able to keep both cars in the race when they needed to. Obviously, they have their issues, and, you know, Sainz does his thing, and Leclerc, well, he loves to crash in qualies. And it's just been a little bit of an up and down. But when they needed to pull through, and when one of McLaren's cars goes out or one of Red Bull's cars goes out, that's when they're able to kind of jump and leapfrog as best they can into a better position. And I think that Ferrari has a good chance. I don't think they're going to surpass McLaren this weekend. I think that McLaren is going to be very, very strong in Vegas, but I think that they're going to maintain position, and I don't think that Red Bull's going to jump ahead of Ferrari because they're in a one-horse race, right? So if Checo doesn't show up here in a big way, I think they might just ship him out right from here because Las Vegas is real close to Mexico. See you later.
Ed, what do you got?
Honestly, I think that there is a good chance that Ferrari's going to catch up. And why do I say that? Lando is under a lot of pressure right now to try to get his drivers' championship, no matter how slim it is. Oscar Piastri, after what happened to him in Brazil, is just you don't know what he's coming out of that. Like, you don't know if he's going to be able to perform for the rest of the season, because like I finally saw that there is a chink in his armor. There is a weakness with him, and it's self-doubt at that point. So yeah, I totally agree with Drew that the two Ferraris, Sainz going out with a bang, and Charles Leclerc showing Lewis Hamilton that, hey, you're coming into my team, but this is my team. Remember that. So it's a good chance. It'll be a good fight towards the end.
You know where else there's a tight battle based on Alpine's heroic performance in Brazil is now a little bit lower down. We have Alpine, Haas, and V-Carbs separated by 5 points for 6th, 7th, and 8th in the constructors.
And
but
1 point to those teams is like a mission. So a spread of 5 points, it's like five fucking races, though. You know what I mean?
It is. It's $20 million, though. That's a $20 million spread.
Yes, that's
big spread for those teams. Gap. That's a big number on that balance sheet. So we got Alpine that jumped ahead of everyone with 49 points now, Haas with 46, and V-Carb at 44. So a few questions here. I want to know who you think is what that running order is going to be by the end of the season. Let's start there, actually. Running order 6, 7, 8. Who you got? Drew, Alpine, Haas, V-Carb.
I think. Can you give me their numbers again?
Alpine with 49, Haas with 46, V-Carb with 44.
I think Haas, V-Carb, Alpine. I think that outlier of that rain mess delay, those cars being absolute tractors, really helped them out during that like heavy rain session. And so I don't think that they're going to score any more meaningful points for the rest of the year. And I think that Haas will keep chipping away. V-Carb will keep chipping away, especially now that Lawson's in there. And I think with the last few races, I think they're going to be able to scoop enough points to leapfrog Alpine again, because before last weekend, Alpine was nowhere, like absolutely nowhere. And I think they're going back to nowhere.
Back to the shadow realm.
That's it.
For me, it'd be V-Carb, Haas, Alpine. I see Liam Lawson after his few races wanting to get more, wanting to secure that seat, maybe RB or V-Carb for next year. Haas, because I know Hulk is still gonna try to push as much as he could. And final few races for K-Mag, and he's done. He's kaput. And then Alpine, they'll maintain it. Ocon might crash it again, and Gasly will hopefully try to maintain the only Formula One driver to go through an entire season and not have his car repaired for any reason at all. No crashes whatsoever. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a little nugget of information.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that today on socials too, but I'm curious as how he got away with it in Monaco when those two collided, that no money got spent.
That's true. I figured that out as well. I was like,
The fix
he
is in.
would have had any issues with the
Yeah, there's
suspension.
no way, because I know that Ocon was the one that did the flying, but there's
Yeah.
no way that any Formula One car can jump up on another Formula One car and not a dollar was spent. Seems crazy. I
Maybe they
did
don't
see that
count duct
Instagram
tape.
post. Yeah, yeah.
Can't believe everything you see on the internet, eh? You know that, guys, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I saw a picture of Bill Clinton with 3 titties one time. Hey.
Hey, that part's true. Okay, I think here we have, what do we have? Alpine, Haas, and V-Carb. So my prediction is Haas is going to take 6th place. I think Alpine is not going to score another point this season, but they're still going to retain 7th. And I think V-Carb is going to hang on to 8th because that team is just good. I just see it imploding. I feel like Yuki's getting angsty, Lawson's getting angsty, everyone's angsty at V-Carb. Everyone wants that big seat at Red Bull, and I just think they're going to implode. So Haas,
Think it's going to get messy
Alpine,
with those boys?
I think it's going to get absolutely messy, 100%.
Now-
until Red Bull actually makes a decision, the best thing Red Bull could do if shit goes south with V-Carb this weekend because people are being little bitches, the best thing that Red Bull can do is make a decision quickly. But I feel like they are not known for that. That is not their strength. So I feel like this just festers for the rest of the season and blows up in their face.
I don't disagree. I think you're right on that. And I think that, both of those guys, Yuki and Lawson are going to go into every single wheel-to-wheel battle with their elbows out. And I think it's going to cost them a lot of points because I think they're going to get bumped around. But speaking of bumping around, I want to touch again on K-Mag because that guy's dangerous when his license is at risk. He's going to be really dangerous at the end of this. Like, I think the other drivers are aware that every single, he has no reason to back out. I guess he doesn't want to be remembered as that guy because the last few races is how you're going to be remembered. And who wants to go out as that guy? But I think, I think K-Mag is going to get spicy in the end of this, man. And it's going to be,
he could play a big team game though. If he could, 100%. Especially in those kind of the last few tracks, right? Where it's not super, I mean, Vegas is a little bit easier to pass, but with the long straight, but he could play a big part in terms of holding up the field, playing the team game, making sure that Haas kind of protects Hülkenberg to get those points. We'll see. So we've given our predictions for the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship. Let's get some predictions for the actual podium. Let's see if our podium predictions back up our championship predictions. Drew, 1 through 3, who do you got?
Oh, I'm going to go with, I think Charles Leclerc is going to do it this year. I think Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen. What order? Let's go with, I think Max is going to pull out a W here. I think Oscar Piastri is going to get second, and I think Charles Leclerc is going to get
For me, it'll be Norris, Leclerc, Verstappen.
It has to be.
Of course. Yeah, but you just said that he was going to leave with the championship mathematically. So how does this work?
That's my prediction, though. If he does leave with it, then
Conflicting,
great. But
man. You
if he
can't
does,
bet on
Hopefully.
heads and tails, bro. You can't bet on heads and tails.
Hopefully no one's
Hedging
paying
your bets
attention.
like that is cheesy, bro.
It's okay. We'll let it go. We'll let it go. He's the Oracle. He plays by his own rules. I've got who I got. I've got Max, Charles, and Carlos. I think it's going to be Ferrari 2-3. Max is going to clinch it. Call
Then
it a
Ferrari
day.
would be taking over the championship.
They would be pretty damn close, depending on when McLaren finished. Yeah, it would be tight. And let's not forget, Red Bull is not out of the second place position yet either. They're only like 13 behind Ferrari, right? So this can be really tight. And if Checo can like get his shit together and actually finish in a decent points position, it could mean a lot for the team. So we'll see what happens there.
We also have to remember that there is a fourth team in this like front battle. Like Mercedes they're not winning anything, but they are there to take away points from other teams.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a good chance that he could be, you could get a George on fourth or even third place podium or something like that. That's not totally outrageous. And that just throws the other teams through a loop, right? So
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he wasn't in your predictions.
No, I didn't say podium.
It's just like what if?
Yeah, it's a what if. We just
It's a
haven't
what if.
talked about Mercedes yet. We're 30 minutes into the podcast. We haven't brought up Mercedes. Like, kind of
just
fans
postulating. Do you want to talk about Mercedes? I feel like you want to talk about Mercedes.
I did.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay, good.
Let's talk about it.
Good. More for me and you.
Yeah, because you know what? They had an absolutely terrible showing in Brazil. Absolute garbage.
Yeah, they didn't have that car dialed in the slightest.
No. Do we want to talk about the different cars between Max and George?
What do you mean?
Well, do they get the same cars? Do they get the same setup? Because presumably for the last 3 races, Lewis is getting a very different setup from George in terms of, testing the cars so they can kind of do a little bit of research for the 2025 car. Like he's going to be a bit more of the guinea pig than Russell will.
Yeah, that's fair.
Any thoughts? Do you think there's truth to that, or is that just another one of these Pierre Gasly hasn't spent any money on repairs this year kind of social posts?
They have nothing. Lewis isn't in any contention. He's not going to be at the team next year. Can they take some chances on Lewis in terms of testing out a new car, new whatever? Yeah, 100%. I think they'd be stupid not to. I think there's a point of pride and onus on Mercedes to do what they can to not let Lewis, but encourage Lewis to win as best as possible. Because I think that they've had a very successful relationship, and to go out with Lewis as a test dummy seems like a slap in the face.
That was my next question. Is this the right way to end this kind of partnership?
Yeah.
Ed, what do you think?
I don't know.
Well, actually, I wanted to answer the first question first. I think he
Please
is
do.
a test dummy right now
Mm-hmm.
because they can get a lot of input from Lewis in terms of how the car operates. His inputs are going to be very, very beneficial for them for 2025, being that they're actually testing new components on him, a new aero package, new floor, even new suspension. Like the smallest things, he will always be able to give an immense amount of information, and they actually will benefit from it. So if they are doing it, continue doing it, because that's the only way you're going to get competitive for next season. If that is the case, man, I don't know if it'll all depend on ego at that point with Lewis, because it could go both ways. The other side of it is that, hey, they treasure and they take highly all of his comments and his suggestions and his inputs on the car. Or the other side of it is like, we're testing it on you. If it shits the bed, it's on you because you're leaving anyway. So it could be either or, but I'd like to take the other side, which is, they highly respect his inputs and they can't get that input from anyone else except from an 8-time world champion.
Well, they maybe didn't respect his inputs enough to take them into account for the first 2 years of the ground effects era, but who am I to say? I think a couple of things. If he is a willing participant in this and he knows his role and he's like, yeah, absolutely, I want to do this for the team, by all means, go for it. if this is just something they're doing to sandbag and use him as a bit of a test dummy, I think that's a bullshit move. And I think that given their relationship and the success that they've had, I think there should be, I'd want to see a proper send off. And to me, sandbagging the car, Lewis's car, is not the way to do it. And frankly, I would think that it would be more important to get George's input on these setup changes, because he's the guy that's going to be there next year driving the car, right? So if anything, it would make more sense to kind of be testing George in his car with these changes and seeing what effects it has, because then he can carry that feedback and this kind of testing loop into the off season, into the simulator air tunnel as well. So I mean, at the heart of this is just me as a Lewis Hamilton fan wanting to see him succeed for the last 3 races with Mercedes. Okay, we all know he's leaving. It's gone. They've had an incredible success. The last few years have been hard, but I really want to see him go out on a high note, not on a Brazil note. And whatever that takes, I don't see any kind of testing that could... I don't know how much valuable information they could take from his last 3 races that would outweigh the proper, I don't know, send off or proper whatever you want to call it for him. Because I think that in a lot of ways takes precedent, or should take precedent, given what they've done together. So we'll see. We'll see how he does in Vegas, and we'll see what they bring, what kind of package they bring.
And Mercedes is in this like perfect little 4th place purgatory, right? Like you got Red Bull in 3rd at 544 points. Mercedes has 382 and Aston Martin has 86. So they're not going to get 3rd place and they're not going to get 5th place. Like they're not going to drop down. So like they do have this opportunity if they want to start testing stuff out with George and George's car and all that, like whatever, they could fight for wins, whatever, but it's not going to change their standings. It's not going to change their money. So like, why not use this as a little bit of an opportunity and go for goal with George and like see, do all the testing you want to do going into the last half of the season, right? Or the last 3 races of the season.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they can bring a competitive car. Both drivers can be competitive, and we'll see what happens. But I really want to see him go out on a high note. If not a win, I'm not necessarily expecting a win, but just like something competitive and something where he's not hating his time in the car, right? Something that he feels he can drive. Speaking of drivers, we have a few that are in the hot seat, and we have a couple that have no seat. They wish they were in the hot seat, but they just got absolutely 0 seats. Bottas is out. Zhou is out. Have you guys been watching Bottas on social and his What's Next whole series of what's going on? Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
His cheeky little like, I'll wake up and just do a triathlon all willy-nilly. That guy has cojones the size of Nevada, bro. I'm so pumped for this guy. He's an absolute menace. And you know what? Neither of them have seats, but both of them have backup seats. Because Bottas is with Mercedes as a backup, and now you have Zhou Guanyu with Ferrari as a backup. Who saw that coming? I didn't.
Wow.
Hold on. What was that?
Yeah. Zhou Guanyu is like a reserve driver for Ferrari.
Is that confirmed?
Really?
I don't know. I seen him in a red suit on Instagram. Shit. Jesus, but why did you know it was gonna be a test? Why are you asking so many goddamn
cop? You sure that wasn't like his like new Prada fit or something like that?
Zhou Guanyu. Let me Google his at Ferrari to give Charles Leclerc brother exciting a new job as Zhou Guanyu. This is 13 hours ago. He was denied the job. He was denied the job. Ferrari reporting. Well, he was on the short list for it. Come on, this didn't come from nowhere. But now they're really looking at Charles Leclerc's little brother, Arthur.
This is how misinformation gets spread.
This is exactly how misinformation. This is fake news. Formula One fake news.
It just that seemed like a very weird thing to happen.
That's why I didn't see it coming. I was like, Zhou Guanyu at Ferrari. I was like, imagine this guy eating pasta and speaking Italian. This should be hilarious.
Okay, so is Bottas confirmed as a reserve at Mercedes?
Jesus. Am I the only guy with Google that works? Jesus.
Well, you're the one making these claims, so you got to fact check your stuff.
Rumor. But also...
Okay.
Listen,
none of this is true. None of this is true.
Mercedes hinting at a Bottas return possibly as a reserve driver. And at the same
Okay.
time, a day ago, it said Zhou Guanyu could be Ferrari's reserve driver in 2020. So, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a headline monger, okay? Leave me alone.
I think what we've learned here is that Drew just reads like names and teams and just like, oh, wow. And apparently that always means they're a reserve driver.
That's whatever. You know what?
Whatever.
This is gang violence. Get off my ass.
Because I had so many questions. Like, what happened to Mick? What's going on with Ferrari? Is it like the money? What's happening? I'm just so none of that is true. So
No,
for anyone listening, just
all fake news.
Disregard.
Yeah. Disregard.
Did we talk about Bortoleto? Last week? No, we did.
No, we didn't talk to him, but we did talk about the week before, though.
Okay.
We did briefly touch on that because he did take Bottas's seat, and he will be alongside Nico Hülkenberg at Sauber. And honestly, the little bit of F2 that I've watched, he's been more exciting. I don't know why, but just based on the races that I watched, Ollie Behrman and Kimi Antonelli, who are the two young guns that they've pulled out of F2 and talked so highly about, and both have gone into F1 and done, a reasonably good job. But Bortoleto was absolutely smashing it in Formula 2. The fact that he didn't have a shot or a kick at that can first blew my mind. And like, there's another guy, Isaac Hadjar. He's an absolute menace in F2. And the fact that nobody's mentioning his name, I don't know what's going on. Like, I know that it's a very much like a spec race, but like those two guys are like constantly in the top three. And this is the first time that Bortoleto has been brought up, and I'm super excited to see him. And like it's bringing down the average age of the grid exponentially, especially when you got guys like Lewis and Alonso up there bringing it up, But I think it's going to be a very exciting grid. Like, if you want to count Liam Lawson, like that's 4 rookies on the grid. Yeah, that's a big number, right? It's 1 in 5 is a rookie. We need some Asian input here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you took everything. Honestly, I think for me it was it's more coming out of the Brazil Grand Prix and possibly an opportunity to make more sponsorship money at that point. You have someone that's a hometown hero, and they saw the possible commercial money that can come through, and but I agree. Like, I'm not going to discount the fact that Bortoleto is, he is a very good driver. And yeah, what I'm more afraid of though is, I don't know, and this might be taking it left field, but did you guys hear about Audi being a little bit wishy-washy on them staying on Formula One? You guys hear the news about that?
Did you guys read that on the same fucking website I read about Zhou and Bottas?
No, I actually heard it from the race. So
okay.
They spoke about it in one of their YouTube videos, and
that's not a good look.
Yeah, that's what I'm scared of.
The whole like Sauber buyout for next year and buying more of it in 2026, and then like full ownership. That's like
before they can even get to full ownership, they might sell their name.
Andretti, here we go.
I was just gonna say, I hope they sell to something that rhymes with Schmamdaddy.
Who knows?
Well, that's another wild rumor. We'll fact check. Do you need time to fact check that one? Was that just a headline you saw, Ed? Yeah, you.
I'm not fact checking your shit. You fact check your own shit. You guys made me fact check mine.
I'll send you guys. We'll put it in the show notes. I'll send you guys the video.
Whose wheel put it in the show notes?
I'll send it to you, and you put it in the show notes.
I was like, what do you mean? That means I'm fact checking it again.
No, I'm sending it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending it.
All right, settle down. I think the moral of the story here is just don't believe anything you hear on podcasts or see on social media.
But it's so much more fun to live like that,
Just half blind.
Yeah, just walking around like
what
this.
It is? And the moral of the story is that beyond the headlines, what you really have to do is sit down and commit to listening to a podcast for more than 60 seconds.
Yes.
There you go.
I agree.
Good plug. And on that note, let's plug the rest of all this good stuff. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, rate, leave a comment, share the podcast anything that you can do to help the algorithm do its thing.
Like,
we appreciate it.
Listening for more than 60 seconds.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
It's a stat.
It's a start.
It's a start.
Yeah, we have all the socials. So if you want to check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, we're everywhere. And Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, it's an awesome community app. We have a very lively one talking about all things F1 24/7. So the link for that will be in the show notes. I do promise that. And yeah, check it out. It's cool. Lots of fun stuff. And we got merch for sale. So if you want to buy some merch, holla at your boy.
All right. Perfect. All right, boys. That was lots of fun. We are going to be back next week recapping Vegas, looking ahead at the last couple of races of the year. For Ed, Drew, I'm Walker. This has been Formula One True North, the Canadian Formula One podcast. Ciao for now.
We're out.
It's lights out and away we go.